Hey guys, Sundown here. This is giving me my chapter review to My Hero Academia 189, Why He Kept Standing Up. I missed that part. So this was a really good chapter. I really enjoyed it, and upon the second read through, I enjoyed it even more. It was just a really solid chapter, and a lot of the chapter actually was what I wanted to see. I mentioned it at the end of last chapter. I didn't want to see Endeavor really lose during his first kind of major obstacle, and that's basically what we got. We didn't get him losing, and we didn't get him giving up, which is my main thing. You can't be called Endeavor and then give up, So the chapter starts with Hawks having taken out a couple of the white Nomus that High End expelled from his body. It turns out they're not very strong at all, so someone with Hawks' level of strength is able to take them out with relative ease, and he points out to the other heroes where the rest of these white Nomus are, while looking over his shoulder at Endeavor's defeat from last chapter. He just looks over and he's like, oh shit, as he sees kind of like the building explode, and then the media see kind of Endeavor just lying on the ground. So High End then looks like a child, very ADHD-ish, trying to spot more heroes to eradicate, just looking around constantly, whispering to himself and talking. And the media flies in a helicopter above, kind of just above and a little bit outwards of Endeavor's defeat, broadcasting that there is a Nomu lurking around and that Endeavor has fallen almost instantly, or he's the first of the heroes there to have fallen. And like I said at the end of last chapter, and like I said at the beginning of this review, I really felt like this was Endeavor's moment to shine, and it's time to stand, and the chapter's title gave me hope, so I was really hyped about reading this chapter. So as the media talks about how this horrific scene reminds them of Kamino, Endeavor jet propels himself off the floor, really badass looking move, trying to land a hit on High End's head. Now all this chapter he's going for headshots, so it lets you know that Endeavor has already clocked on to the fact that the head is the place to aim for. So the only issue here is Endeavor is too slow now, and the Nomu High End hits him in the chest and then slams him like through 3 buildings. A really devastating attack, and you see the other heroes just stood there in shock, looking at the sheer power of this Nomu, able to knock down buildings with jokes. So they're also very aware that this is approaching Kamino level destruction, and it could, like, given a few minutes, and if they let High End continue to rampage, it could even surpass Kamino level destruction. But how do they stop the Nomu? How do they stop High End, which is their job as heroes? They need to stop him, and they're just there like, what the hell do we do to that? If even someone like Endeavor can't even burn the guy and he's just regenerating, we can't do shit. So while all this is going on, we see Natsu and his older sister Fuyume, I think it was, or Fuyumi, one of the two. They're watching this encounter over the internet while like driving somewhere, and Natsu wants his dad to stay down to wait for reinforcements to give up and save himself. He's like, he gives up all the time, why not just give up now? Just give up and save himself. So this is kind of Natsu's view of Endeavor as his child. He feels like his dad gave up on his kids, especially the ones who weren't useful to him, like Natsu Fuyume and the other child who we do not know, Dabi. And he gave up on his wife and on his family. That's how Natsu views Endeavor. But then we have Fuyume, who kind of scolds Natsu on Endeavor. She's like, he may not have been there for us and things like that. He may not have been there for our mom. But if there's one thing he has never done, it's give up. And he will never give up. So even though Endeavor had Shoto and he was like, yeah, this is the child that will surpass Endeavor in the future, he still didn't give up on trying to surpass All Might himself. So the fact of the matter is, he may not be All Might, but he is Endeavor. So obviously the populace of the city is in major panic, all of them evacuating like madmen, causing real issues for the heroes, trying to control their exit, trying to make it a more, I wouldn't say peaceful, but let's just say peaceful escape route. And a reporter once again makes mention, like, while they're running, it's like, oh, a symbol, and like kind of just makes mention of this being what happens in the absence of a symbol of peace. And it wasn't until this chapter that I realized how much I hated the phrase. It makes every other hero's attempt to be the best worthless because they can't assume the mantle of the symbol of peace. They can't take that mantle from All Might. Everyone is simply too weak to inherit kind of All Might status. So I was really rooting for Endeavor this chapter. Like, when I heard that part, I was like, Endeavor's got to kick some ass right now, because I wanted him to shut up the masses, and and mostly the media. I want him to shut up the media and their symbol of peaceness, and show them that even without the strength of the symbol of peace, they have the flaming guts of the one who endeavors beyond all others. That's what Endeavor stands for. So High End makes his way to this cacophony of human alarm, while Class 1A watches on the TV. And it turns out that Aizawa was actually going to Shoto to try and stop him from seeing the news. He came too late, though. I thought Aizawa was going to Endeavor last chapter, because he was talking about, I'm going to go visit Todoroki. I didn't see why he would go visit Todoroki as in Shoto, because either way Shoto was going to find out, and there's not much Aizawa could have done. There's not much Aizawa did do. Upon looking at Shoto, he's just like, oh, you've seen it, okay. So I was like, I thought you would have gone to provide backup to the hero that's getting his ass whooped right now. But he is in a different city, so there's not too much Aizawa can do unless he like jumps on the back of someone who's like got All Might level speed. So Shoto looks at the TV, almost kind of willing his dad on through kind of anger, and his eyes are just there looking at the TV, almost saying, all your life you fought to surpass All Might. This can't be all you have. And then, almost voicing the look in Shoto's eyes, a young boy, specifically the fanboy of Endeavor's that we saw run away from Endeavor when he was trying to sign his autograph a couple chapters ago, he shouts to the alarmed crowd and the media that they're seeing the crisis the wrong way. They're all shitting their pants about there being no symbol of peace, and we're all dead, is GG, game over. But what they're failing to realize is that Endeavor's flames are still burning and his engine is still roaring, a lot like King, and he's putting everything on the line to save the people of the city. The citizens' symbol of hope is still alive and he's still kicking some ass. So they're all shitting themselves, and he's like, we're all here in major panic, but we're disregarding and we're not even supporting the guy who's there saving our asses right now. So the media sees High End making a beeline for the evacuation point, but with Endeavor in hot pursuit, pun intended. And High End asks if Endeavor can also regenerate, with Endeavor thinking about how much pain he's actually in right now. He's just like, don't put me in the same category as you. And he's just thinking in his head, oh my god, I'm in so much pain right now. And he's actually in so much pain that it's keeping him from falling unconscious, which is probably a good thing. And he does actually thank High End for that, because Endeavor, he knows he has one final chance to squeeze out every last drop of heat and power from his body. So essentially what he says to himself, he's going to turn up the heat and burn this victory into everyone's minds. And I fully believe Endeavor can do this, but I hope the strain on his body doesn't cause some catastrophic like organ failure or the likes, because that is fully possible with severe hypothermia. You go past heat stroke and heat exhaustion and you're fully hypothermic. You're reaching about like 40 degrees core temperature, I think, is round about the real danger mark. It can result in death. The same way hypothermia can result in major, I'm not sure if that results in organ failure, but it could also result in organ failure, but very similar things. So I'm hoping like Endeavor doesn't push himself so far that he dies from this. So as Endeavor notes to himself that High End has gone out of his way to protect his head, he solidifies his option of where to land the final attack. So while this is going on, Hawk suddenly pops up right behind High End with both his wings missing about like 80% of their feathers, and he distracts High End, noting to himself that he doesn't have the destructive power to take out this Nomu, and I think he attacks both his eyes and his mouth, and his feathers just actually dissipate, they just break apart. But Hawks' speed is equal to High End. So then Hawks gives us some backstory on why he's been pushing Endeavor to take the mantle of number one, truly. So he says he's been watching Endeavor and has realized that he was the only one person in the world who was actually trying to surpass All Might. And not just saying he would, but physically putting in the work to do it. We get this nice little illustration of a huge kind of crevice between All Might and everyone else, with only Endeavor really trying to bridge the gap with broken planks of wood and a rock. And we then find out where Hawks' feathers went. They slam into the back of Endeavor, propelling him to an awesome speed straight towards High End. Endeavor coils up, ready to burst into his final attack straight down High End's throat. So all of this occurs while Hawk says that he'll provide Endeavor with the push on the back he needs, the speed to his strength. So the chapter ends there, but there are still a couple things to say. Hawks seems to not be so evil. Hawks seems to be quite a swell guy, actually. However, right before Hawks is in a monologue, we see High End launch an attack right towards him. You know, it just kind of stretches off his arm. And if it hits, it could be fatal. So I really don't want to see Hawks die like this. That would just be too soon for me right now. So, secondly, if Hawks survives, could he and Endeavor assume the mantle of the symbol of peace together? I don't see why not, but I feel that title is only granted to one hero at a time, and it's really only ever been granted to All Might, I think. And I don't think Hawks would want that title anyway, so it would probably just go to Endeavor by default. But yeah, they could even be they could assume the title of Symbol of Peace together. That would be quite cool. So let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.